Hello friends, Josevich here and welcome back to my first, and what I guess I will refer to as my introductory Gauntlet run of Eternal, which is a new free-to-play collectible card game. And I'm going to be continuing this run from my previous videos, where we are using a Combrei deck, which is the combination of the green and yellow card pools. So we've talked about the redrawing system before. These are not really good cards for us to be starting with. Not enough resources, not enough low costing minions or things to be playing. This isn't that great either, but we'll survive this way. I will go ahead and play my 1/1 to start, and I will buff up one of my displacers. Maybe we can play these early. Displacers are really powerful, I think. Oh, what did he just play? Oh, a 1/2. So that's not really great for us, but that's okay. And gaining the 1 health really is negligible in, I'll say, every matchup. Well, at least at this early stage in the game, that's kind of negligible. So these practice displacers, I kind of want to save them. Your power cards have Echo. Okay, that's definitely a minion that we're going to want to be removing. So we're not going to block. And then now I kind of really regret not having put the buff on this card here. So what we're going to do, we're just going to pass and keep our blocker here. And we're also going to keep our mana though, so we're able to actually buff or play the Scorpion Wasp if we need to. And one of the things that we've talked about, continue this is no problem. So now in this situation, I am kind of tempted to buff and take this out. So one of the interesting things about Eternal, I think I've talked about this in previous videos, is that your attacking and defensive turns are slightly more interactive than what we're used to in Hearthstone, and a little bit more in line with what happens in Magic the Gathering. So my opponents decided that they're going to, now opponent in Gauntlet is AI based, but our opponent is going to attack with their 1/2. Now I have the option of blocking or not blocking by clicking on the unit and then pointing where I want to go, or I can press no blocks. But at the same time, I should say, I'm allowed to play fast spells or fast minions. I can play minions that have the word text ambush, and I can play fast spells. So sometimes fast spells are just deal damage. So I can just deal the damage and then not need to block. Now, this might seem a little bit overkill, but I am actually going to buff this up and take out this unit, because this unit has a really interesting word text, and I will click on here to show it again, where your power cards have Echo. And what Echo does mean, what it means is that you get an additional copy when drawn, which can really be kind of powerful if you're just duplicating cards as you're drawing them. Now, it's only power cards, obviously, it's not just every card, but the Echo mechanic is kind of very powerful. And it seems like our opponent here already has enough power cards anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. And at this point, I think I will attack. I'm not too worried. If he gets one face damage in, I don't really mind at all. And now this is something that we haven't seen before. Well, that's a really interesting ability. So when this one gets summoned, you play a time and Justice Sigil. So that's actually could be kind of useful for my sort of Combrei deck. And we're kind of basically going up against the Combrei deck here as well. And the issue is now, because that's a really strong summon ability, or from Hearthstone we think of them as battle cries, we don't want to be playing Praxis Displacer, which returns another unit to their hand. So we're going to play another unit then and basically just pass. And we're waiting for our bigger units. And if this attacks, we might use our Scorpion Wasp to take him out. That is slightly scary. We're going to wait for it to attack and kill it with the Scorpion Wasp. And now I think actually I will return that one to hand to slow him down a little bit. And which one are we going to play? We'll play the weaker one. And now we'll kind of see what happens here. This just lets us build a bit of a bigger board here. If this was ranked play, I definitely wouldn't be doing this play. Don't always necessarily want to commit too much to the board. I'm willing to not play any more minions at this point. So this is also interesting where it's Empower. So yeah, they get Overwhelmed this turn. Now Overwhelm's also an interesting card text. So whenever this kills a unit, the leftover damage hits the player. So if I were to block this, as I'm going to here in a second, I block this unit with, let's say, a 2. So the unit takes 2, I still take 5, which is a bit of an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and play Scorpion Wasp just to get rid of him. And then 3-5, the issue is, do we want to be taking this out or not? I think we kind of do, because we will... And then we're good, and we'll block this way. So the way that blocking worked was also kind of interesting. Now, I am tempted to get rid of this to allow the Warcry to start proccing, but I'm not going to. I think we can just wait this one out as well. Empower, stun an enemy unit. Empower, gain 1 health. Now, that was an interesting interaction there as well that turn. So this unit, when you empower, which is by playing a power card, which are these here in the bottom left, you're allowed to stun an enemy unit. So he tried to stun my Crown Watch Paladin here, but because my Crown Watch Paladin had Aegis, which then protects the unit from one spell or enemy effect, it didn't actually get stunned. So now I think we're in a situation where we want to be doing a little bit of damage here. I'm debating returning this one to hand, and I know it gives him more power, but at this point I don't think the power is going to be an issue. And I'm going to attack with 3 of my 3/2s. Very interesting. He just took it all, which is fine. I guess he had a high enough life total. Taking 9 isn't that important for him. Stuns a 4/3, which is kind of fine. Cycling more, which again is kind of not that much of an issue. Now the issue is a lot of my units are stunned here. And again, this time we're basically going to be doing nothing here because we don't want to be attacking into him being able to defend favorably. And again, he gets a power. Ooh, and that's one of those cards that we wanted to get rid of. Flying and Aegis. Alright, so we will give that to our unit who has Endurance. And we will end turn. So, the way weapons work in Eternal, our weapons get equipped onto your minions. And this one is going to give one of my units Flying, which is a very common term for Magic the Gathering. And then Aegis as well. So again, he's protected from 1... So the reason I did that is now I'll be able to attack in. But I very much regret that because I did have a Warcry minion that maybe I should have done that. But the idea here is I'll be able to attack in and then also still defend every turn. So that he won't ever really be wanting to attack into me. And maybe if I'd been doing the Warcry, then maybe this whole time we'd be buffing up our deck a little bit more. But that's okay. I think we'll survive. And this way we're just going to be kind of grinding out this game. And one of the issues with this Combrei deck, I think, right now is the fact that... Oops. Have to press end turn to keep this one going. Silence a unit. So that's going to eat the Aegis, and it's not going to actually lose the rest of its text, which is very good. Otherwise I'd be in big trouble. Kill a unit with 4 or more. We'll just attack again. And we'll leave this because he has no units that have 4 or more. And that was an Echo, so that's 2 power. This is basically a unit you want to be seeing in the early-ish game. It just ends up being a big blocker, having 5 health. To attack, you're not expecting to really kill anything, but because of the 5 health, it will be stopping your opponents from attacking you too often. So in this sort of deck, when you're running a discount deck, as the game has just been released and I don't have any cards, so this is actually going to be really good for us. So this is an interesting card. It can be exhausted at one time to attack any enemy unit. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out the 3/5 and then start attacking with our 3 attack minions as well. Because that 3/5 was really in our way here. And we'll attack with those 5 now. So what they're doing is our opponent's actually sacrificing a bunch of their... They are going to be sacrificing a significant number of their defenders in order to stop a lot of my attacks going to face. But because we just had overwhelming numbers there, they weren't able to stop all of us, all of our attacking minions. And again, now our big 6/6 is going to get stunned, but that's really okay. You and a unit. So this is actually a really great card. If you're starting a Combrei deck, I definitely recommend looking at potentially crafting or drafting this one. You and a unit both get 3 plus 3 health. So, again, if this gets off early, now I'm willing to attack because I have the 5 defense, and I actually could have looked. And I think we're going to be okay. I'm just going to go ahead and attack with everything. We're just going to basically be able to overwhelm our opponent with our attacks. And we're just going to be... And actually, that was a missed lethal. Oops. Our opponent heals, and then they end up losing, and that's fine. Flying in a Warcry. And that's now our 3rd or 4th Gauntlet game here. Maybe I'll keep each of these videos. The games in Eternal can take a little bit longer, especially even the single-player games. As you see, they tend to go to top-decking mode, or at least maybe, I don't know if I made any mistakes along the way. Feel free to let me know. But that'll just be a separate video. To keep these videos a little bit shorter, and I'll try and post them a little bit quicker in order to get through this first Gauntlet before we get into ranked and things like that. Thanks for hanging out with me. If you want to see more of these, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.